Hi there. Do we have any Oreo eaters in the house? I hope so. I'm sure we do. Here's the deal with Oreos. This is an appeal to Nabisco. Okay, Nabisco, the makers of Oreos. Back in the day, I want to say up until probably 2000, maybe not even that. It's been about a good 15 or 16 years. What happened was, if you remember with the cigarette companies, people started suing the cigarette companies for their ill health for smoking. While the food companies were like, you know what? Maybe we should start taking all that partially hydrogenated stuff out of our food. Somebody can sue a cigarette company over smoking. Somebody might be able to sue a company over all the 10,000 bags of Oreos they ate or Velveeta and say, you knew partially hydrogenated fat was bad, yet you still put it in your food. All right, here's the deal. What happened with Oreos? Back in the day, anybody over 30 will probably remember this, maybe 33 and a half. Oreos, when you took them out of the package, they used to be a tiny, tiny bit more crumbly, and if you set them on a napkin, they would actually leave a little bit of a grease mark. You know when you set a fry in a napkin, you kind of get like a little sort of grease stain? Oreos used to do that, and they were so tasty. Because up until, I don't know, late 90s, they used to put lard. Lard was the fat they used in them. And somebody's like, well, you know what we have to do? Maybe not the late 90s, maybe a little before that. They're like, we should pull the lard from the Oreos. So I think they switched to a partially hydrogenated formula, recipe. Partially hydrogenated fats are a trillion times worse for you than butter, these things they were meant to replace. So slowly but surely they started reducing. They got rid of the lard and then partially hydrogenated, and then eventually they got rid of the partially hydrogenated. And they were very clever. What they did was they had the regular Oreos, and suddenly they came out with reduced fat Oreos. Then what happened is the reduced fat, the first reduced fat became the regular Oreo. And then they came out with another reduced fat. So they started to sort of graduate phasing out. And then that reduced fat became the regular Oreo. And then they came out with another, so they would just sort of go, regular Oreo, reduce fat, reduce fat, like this. That's what started to happen till now. Oreos today blow. They do. People are still eating them. An Oreo today tastes like a knockoff of an Oreo did 15 years ago. So this is what I'm proposing. Oreo, keep the shitty formula you have now, but come out with even if it's just a short-term thing, call them like Oreo Retro. You're saying what it is. Pepsi and Coke, well, Pepsi has, with sugar, you know what I mean? Except in this case, if you bring back lard for a special Oreo Retro, they're probably not better for you, obviously, than the Oreo you have today, but it's awful. But they're better than the partially hydrogenated version you had in the medium run. So make an Oreo Retro with the lard, put it right on the label. They'll sell like hotcakes. An original Oreo was so delicious. And back in the day, like now you can probably, because of the new formula, you can probably hold them over like in milk. What you do is you dip them in milk. I used to let them, like a lot of us, soak in. So it was a game. In the original Oreos, there was only a certain amount of time you could hold the Oreo dipped in milk. I want to say it was about 6 or 7 seconds before it broke off and sank to the bottom. And then you'd have a sludge in the bottom of the glass. Eventually you finish the milk. There might be 3 or 4 of the 7 Oreos you had in the bottom, like shipwrecks. And then you'd sort of take a spoon and be like, it was so good. But like I was saying a second ago, Oreos now, I bet you could hold that Oreo probably in a glass for a good minute or two and it would never break off. Anyway, Oreo people, if you're watching this or anybody knows a Nabisco person next door, put a letter in their mailbox if you're friendly with them, accost them and say, you will make a retro Oreo. You could totally do it today. People, you know what? Everyone's gone back to butter and lard and everything because the stuff again, like I said, to wean us off those butter and lard things, the partially hydrogenated was the worst thing in the world for you. Margarine up until like 15 years ago was like the worst thing in the world for you. So that's my Oreo video. Keep coming back. More videos on the way. More drum covers, more Bonham videos I'm going to remake. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you.
This video brought to you by Terry Keating Greatest Hits. Look for it on eBay.